for White Dragons to dodge all the engage.
Yeah, and we all know that Renekton is always a huge threat in early game in top lane. So yeah, Zergot has to be careful about this, but then I think he can take on the matchup.
It's 7M against White Dragons. It's the first game of EMEA Masters Plains, and this is LPLOL versus ESLOL. Zergot instantly in trouble. He needs to try to fire a way out, but he also already did Sending Blade, flash over the wall. That's a flash burnt in an Aatrox Renekton matchup when you have an Ivern on the other side. We say alright because he didn't die, but it's not alright for the lane.
I mean, it would have been a hard early laning phase either way. He would have to be more respectful now because he has no flash, and against the easy slice and dice stun setup that you have followed up by the snare of an Ivern, you should always be very respectful. But if someone has to lose his flash level 1 on this lineup that has the experience to play from behind, I would say it is Zergot. He can fend for himself in that top lane.
I am looking at both teams, looking at them. We didn't really discuss the draft into too big of a detail. White Dragons, they have a lot of setup, they have a lot of champions that are now meta but used to be really niche. How do they actually tackle a game where it goes to late game? Because if you look at 7M, well, you have Aphelios, as in you have that in the book, you have a lot of scaling. Do you need to get online before 50 minutes as White Dragons?
Yeah, I think they really have to put some pressure early on. The draft was built this way, in my opinion, whereas 7am has every interest to just wait, scale, play safe, and if they manage to take a lead early on, might be tricky for their opponent.
And then looking on the other side, 7M, they have the scaling in their advantage. If the game goes over 30 minutes, you have like 2-3 items at least on most of your carries. You should be fine, especially because they have a range advantage. That is hard to come over by the White Dragons. They will really have to look for a good solar flare or a good flank from Couch on the Renekton to really caught someone off guard. And it's also in the hands of this Nico pick. This Nico, it really defines how good a Nico player is, how often he can find those really smart engages, those good flanks in the fog of war, disguised as a minion, disguised as other champions, and just play mind games with your enemy.
And I have bad news because Noma is a very, very creative player. He's a stable player for White Dragons, always was one of the best mid laners that regionally appeared in Portugal. So I am afraid the moment I saw his Nico, I was like, okay, he can make the plays happen.
Yeah, but you know, at some point in the season, Nico was definitely one of the most meta picks, so everyone was playing it. Then, when we went further, when she was nerfed, the players that kept playing her were really creative with her, so...
Yeah, and in the Benelux, we didn't really play that much Nico. Like, a lot of our Nicos fell flat.
But the first team that made it work was Team 7.
That's true.
Was Julbu in the jungle with that Nico. So I have like an anecdote from Robba. He would play in scrims against Nico, and he would all the time look just at tap if Nico is visible or not on the map, and just keep on that communicating to the team. All right, Nico is on map. We don't see her. She's disguised, and that has to be the communication in a team. If the bot lane from 7am needs to be careful, because Dash is in the vicinity.
He comes in early, and then it's a flash and tries to engage with Tomsky. Kingpin has been targeted.
Focused. Oh, he flashed it out. Okay.
And that was well played by Kingpin. The moment that Kamsky goes forward for the Xenoblade. Ooh, Zergot.
It was very close. Zergot must be careful here. We know that Renekton is a huge threat in early game. He must respect this.
Yeah, he still has his TP, didn't use it last time, but he's losing some minions here, so that's kind of awkward for his lane state, because A, the lane is going to push towards Garsha, he already doesn't have the flash, and now he's going to be behind some last hit because he was playing that weak side after having his flash burned. Dash is now also living in the jungle of Julbu as the Ivern, and he can go for a repeat gank in the bot lane, so White Dragons proactive in the early game. Oh, Noma maybe in trouble.
Yeah, but Roll takes a big chunk before this gank, so I don't think they will really commit to it. Also, there was a Ketamine that was really low. You would really want that on your Azir to scale up. And if you look at the inventory, you see Zergot backing. He gets a cloth armor and boots. It's not the buy you really want to see, but it's something he needs to do because he has been put behind in his lane. Kingpin, ooh, no flash on him.
Dash coming in again. Leona goes in. Flicker is in danger. Flicker is in danger, and it's the first blood for Dash and his Ivern. Can they go further? Second kill, and this time for Kalmsky.
White Dragons, they collapse in the bot lane. Flicker a bit too far forward. Didn't expect a regank from Dash, and now they have a huge lead in the early game. 1,000 gold up ahead already.
Yeah, he was really patient with his Ivern. He stayed. The lane was pushing towards the red side, so he just had to wait, found a good angle, and punished.
Yeah, this Ivern pick already paying off in the early game. We knew he would have a lot of setup with his ganks, and in the bot lane, Kingpin had to use his flash earlier. And the setup from White Dragons was just perfectly.
But I think we also saw something we don't see a lot from Flicker. I think he still got surprised in that gank. He cleansed and flashed, but both kind of at the wrong times, so that they don't even give the safety. So now he burned both summoners and he went down. They were playing forward into the lane because the lane got bounced. It's just a good play from White Dragons, and this is what we come to expect from this team. For those who haven't followed EMEA Masters or LPL in the past, they're really solid on their basics. They always play as a unit, and they come aligned normally on both map play as this and team fights. And that's scary because now they already have a lead. They're already 1,400 gold up against Team 7am, and their team fight is way stronger on the first level 6 than you have on the side of 7am.
Also, something that is missing for 7am is Yulbu is usually a jungler that looks for the enemy jungler. He looks for the opponent, and he's been very quiet in this early game. He showed himself in that mid lane, tried to help shove the way for Erol, which meant that there was an opening for the White Dragons to go to that bot lane to get a kill onto the flashless king, but also surprising a Flicker and going down in the exchange as well. And this bot lane from 7am, regionally they have not been put behind very much, so how would they react in a lane state where they have no summoner spells? The enemy jungler likes to gank the bot lane, is still on the bot side of the map. How do they deal with this pressure? That is my next question.
And about bot side, look at the control that White Dragons have in the bot river. A Drake is available. It's a Chemtech Drake, sorry, and it could be taken by White Dragons. They have nice prio and nice setup here.
I like that nice prio. It was really French.
Sorry.
I love it. No, that's great. That's great because as people at home can tell, we have very thick Dutch accent. You have a very thick French accent. So we are truly a Benelux stream, and that's why we're also a bit down right now because 7am, or a bit afraid right now because 7am is behind. But we also know that they're a very controlled team. If you keep them in the game long enough, they always come back. They played a lot of bad early games regionally. The first 2 weeks of the split, they had the worst early game of all the teams, but they went 4-0. So nothing has been said and done right now in the game, but White Dragons is in complete control, and you have to give credit where credit is due. The only thing that they lost was Worst's flash in the bot lane, but they're not too afraid of this gank apparently.
Oh, and they even go in on Kalska, but that's very tankily on the root comes in. Kingpin is a lot of danger. King is gonna die first. No, he survives for a longer time, but Dash gets the kill eventually. Julbu is very low. He's getting chunked, he's getting knocked up. Oh no, that's gonna be the end of the jungler of 7am. No, he flashes into the bush, and he has to escape to the cave, but yeah, there is nowhere to go for him as well, and he dies 0-4 for 7am in the early game.
That's so hard. This White Dragons bot lane is getting so much ahead with the help of Dash. This trio really works well so far.
And I mean, Calm Sky put the calm back into his name. He just sat in that bush, knew that Dash was close.
He just tanked everything. Yeah, he even tanked the ignite.
The setup for the dive, or at least the gank from 7am, was through the lane. They knew what was happening, and he just stood in that bush, held his ground because he knew Dash was gonna arrive. And the problem that 7am now has is that Flicker actually went down, Kingpin went down as well. They're now 4 kills behind on the bot side. Top side, you have Renekton versus Aatrox, so that matchup is not going anywhere. And now Yulbu is also put further behind and is flashless, so White Dragons have complete control over the early game, 8 minutes 40 in. They're already 2,300 gold up. The only thing they didn't do yet is take neutral objectives, but that seems to be a formality at this point.
Yeah, and that was the point of their comp, trying to get an advantage, trying to get ahead in the early game. So far, they are achieving this. Oh, the engagement, it's on the tower, it's dangerous, and Worst has his flash, his cleanse, his ult, it's impossible to dive him.
What they really wanted to do was get the ult out early, because you see Yulbu is in the vicinity, he is around, he wants to dive the bot lane, so they really wanted to test Worst. They're even going to use the ultimate, but Worst is just running out and he's not getting rooted as well, but it gives some free time to Flicker. He gets some plates, he gets a way back into the game, and he really needs it. If you look at the gold disadvantage, it's not that far down. It looks similar, but on the other side of the map they are getting the Rift Herald, and they have to be very careful in the bot lane for 7am.
Flicker, what are you doing? The last minion died and he was still walking up. Flash forward from Calm Sky, that's an easy kill, and the nerves might be getting to this young AD carry from Portugal. He's up against the White Dragons, but he is faltering every step of the way. Kingpin is gonna go down as well, and it's an 0-6 start for 7am.
Oh yeah, that's hard to bear. And now Zergoth is trying to do something, but the Dominus is used by Kaucha. Sorry, I might pronounce his
It's
name.
EMEA Masters. There's a lot of new names, a lot of different pronunciations, so it doesn't even matter if you're French or Dutch.
I'm sorry for the Portuguese fans. I might totally destroy his name.
I don't think the Portuguese fans mind because they're 0-6 up. They're starting strong. The bot side, where if you look at the draft as well on blue side, 7am showed everything except their bot lane. White Dragons then instantly lock the Zaya. 7am has that information. They go for Aphelios Nautilus. We were wondering, it's like, oh, is it for the link up with the Maokai? Like, why are we seeing this combination? Well, I don't think the plan was to give Zaya 303 at 10 minutes in game and feed the hell out of
I
bot
don't think
lane,
that's
but it
ever
did
a
happen.
game plan. I don't think that's ever a game plan, but it's something they'll have to live with. But if you look at the inventories, there's a Kraken Slayer completed for Flicker. It doesn't look like he's that far behind, because Worst still is building towards that first item. However, it's that Rift Herald that's sitting in the pocket of Dash that's worrying me. Where are they going to put it? Are they going to funnel it again in Worst? And is it going to be a very scary Zaya that doesn't have a lot of threats on the enemy team? It's real dependent on how good Errol plays it, spacing between all his soldiers to get him onto the back line. But there's so much shielding going on with Dash on the Ivan. There's so much zoning control with the Nico in their composition. So I think that 7am, they want to chill out this game. They want to slow it down, but White Dragon is not allowing them. They keep on visiting that bot lane, and wherever Dash is wherever the Rift Herald can be spawned. So let's keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, they found recipes that seems to work so far. So why not keep doing? Why not keep doing it so far for White Dragons that are going to get the first Drake of the game. Chemtech Drake, it won't be contested by 7am, of course.
Pretty much impossible. Now it's a later Drake, so it's not like the win condition of a soul is something that 7am needs to worry about too much. It's 11 minutes 30 seconds in that they take the first Drake. But looking at this composition from 7am, they just played their offline finals. So we know for the Elite Series it's kind of rough. You play offline finals on Saturday and you instantly go into EMEA Master Play-ins on Monday. The game they lost against Genk, where they got perfect game after being 2-0 up, was when they didn't really have a lot of proactive picks. They had scaling picks in the bot lane and in the mid lane. It was, I think, Sivir Azir as well. Now it's Aphelios Azir. Is this a problem for 7am and something White Dragons is attacking?
There's 3v3 starting again on the bot lane, and Julbu seems to be the target. Nice damage from Flicker. White Dragons is backing off.
They totally disengage it. That was fine. Just don't die at this point. Just try to keep your calmness. You really want to slow down this game. You have Errol doing a great job in keeping up with CS, even though he had very bad traits in the early game, escaping even this gang. But you will have to tank the Rift Herald, meaning that Noma will go find a goal lead in this lane, especially with the plate so low. It should be fairly easy to collect them. And that is a big goal lead that White Dragons have at this point in the game, 3k.
But they're going to try in the bot lane. First line of Kingpin lands on Calm Sky. This should be the fight that
TP.
7am is looking for, but the TP in the back is first. Zergot will arrive later. It was Noma coming in, and Flicker is already dead. He flashes out. He used the snare, but the follow-up from Dash is too big. Now it's a 3v4. Do you still want to fight?
Noma!
Pop Blossom goes in. Noma goes big, but he doesn't really seem to find a lot of damage. Calm Sky isn't dying, and even though Errol is there, it looks like White Dragons just have way too much utility in this fight.
Yeah, so much shield, so much tankiness. It's so hard for 7am to get something out of this play. Still looking for their first kill in the game, but the goal lead from White Dragons is starting to become concerning.
It's a problem for sure, and I don't get why they are fighting right now. They have a scaling composition. They TP in Errol. He doesn't even have an item yet, and he has to do so much damage to go even go through those shields. But those shields just refresh. It's off cooldown again if you take another look at this fight, Dino.
And then the problem as well is Zergot is actually in position to maybe TP in already. He was moving towards the mid lane to make a play, and he has his TP up. So they could have actually, because the fight went so long, TP'd both in, but Zergot never really used his TP. He didn't know if he was on vision or not. And then this fight already spiraled out of control before Errol even arrived. He can't really do anything with his ultimate. The fight was already down because you lose the AD carry so fast. And 7am, they just seem to be indecisive in those moments, caught off guard by how fast White Dragons is playing, and it's a way better start to the tournament for the LPL side of things.
Definitely. We could see that even when Kingpin was trying to re-engage, there were no real hopes of 7am managing to get something out of this. And the goal lead is increasing in favor of White Dragons.
Ooh, look at the bot lane only. It's a 6k against an almost 5k, 1k gold difference between the two, and Flicker is really slow to start this game. Even in the second engage in the bot lane, he still flashed late after the damage was being done and the crowd control was found. So those are mistakes we do not expect from this bot lane that was playing so flawlessly in the offline finals.
But let's be hopeful for 7am, because we know that sometimes teams manage to get a good lead in early game, but then they don't really know how to, go further with the lead. So if 7am manages to stall, as you said earlier, we have a good we 7 AM has a good,
That's we.
the Benelux.
The Benelux.
Of
they
course.
have a good late game comp,
Yeah.
so
As long as the Benelux is in this tournament, we will keep supporting them. We're going to follow all their games. If you were looking for other games than Group A and C, you're in tough luck on this channel, but you can still go to the Universe TV to watch the other groups. But why not stay here? Because it's the two smallest ERLs fighting against each other. White Dragons had a team fight-oriented red side draft, and they used it to great effect in the bot side of this map. They are now 0-8 up. They have the first dragon and the first tower. They already took the first Rift Herald, are going to take the second Rift Herald. If you had a checklist of things you need to do in the early game, the only thing they faltered at was take the dragon a bit faster, but for the rest, they are setting themselves up for great success.
They are right on track, especially with the second Rift Herald. It most likely secures them the mid lane priority over the dragon later on. They even already have the turret, so they don't even have to pop it in the mid lane. They can use it for another lane, but silently, Zergold has been farming up, and he has been keeping up in a tough matchup. Even though he was down a flash from level 1, he has the item to match, he has the Dusk Blade, which might help them as an extra tankiness, because it's hidden tankiness in a team fight, because he goes in, he gets a kill, and he goes out, and he wastes so much cooldowns from White Dragons. But with how far ahead Dash is on the Ivern 303, so many shields will come through, even almost an upgraded Smite, 6 stacks on the Dark Seal, so even Daisy does some damage. That 7M just have to rely on clearing these waves and get some items in. And if you look back into the bot lane, Flicker, yes, he is 0-3. He does keep up with the items. I don't know how he does it. He's 1k behind. It's a BF versus a pickaxe in the inventory, and of course an extra longsword for worst. But it isn't the end of the world yet.
yeah, his farm isn't bad, and as you said, mid lane and top lane are fine too. So yeah, let's see what happens during the first real team fight. So far, it was mainly skirmishes on the bot side. We see how it went, but maybe in a 5v5 things could go different. Here we see White Dragons getting their second Drakes, an Infernal Drake to them.
As Zergold is already playing between two towers, he now has that power spike and he's keeping Gaucha out of the lane because White Dragons has been so prevalent in the bot side of the map. Of course they get a second dragon, but it's still not a win condition. 17 minutes and 20 seconds in game. You add 10 minutes to that, you're looking at a 27 minutes earliest soul. That's not that scary for 7am, because by then their carries should have 2 to 3 items, and Errol has been outperforming Noma by now in the last hit department. Even though he never went down and Noma got a kill and an assist, he's up in gold, he's up in last hits. Top side we saw Zergold playing aggressively. It's just a matter of, can 7am start to survive these bot lane dive attempts? Can 7am start to survive these map rotations from White Dragons without losing too much?
Lane.
1v1, and it ends by a draw again.
I mean, but this is fine for Aatrox, right? Because you get the dominance out. Aatrox can still lane. We saw when there was no ults being used that Zergold still had the better of the matchup. So this is good news for 7am, that they can find something on that. They have to put pressure somewhere. When White Dragon sends 4 people to the bot lane, you can rely on Zergold to get that exchange in the top lane.
But what I want to see from 7am is more than just getting by barely, but then surviving barely and losing out, because they just lost their bot tower. Zergold already had a topside tower, but the pings from White Dragons go out. They're just going to rotate the 4 people topside, get the tower as well, keep it simple, stick to the basics. And in the meantime, 7am is still waiting on items. They're still waiting on Azir to come online. They're still waiting on Flicker to catch back up. So it's all fun and games for Zergold that he's playing his lane out fine, that he's getting a small lead there. But the lead that White Dragons has in the bot side of the map is so huge that he'll also become, or get into trouble rather, by just staying in the top side.
Man, I was just trying to be hopeful.
I mean, there's still hope. Like we still have the Zergold TP flank to end everything, but yeah, that's.
And we have Errol with an extra large rod in his inventory. Might as well upgrade it soon. And the Dark Seal waiting for stacks.
Waiting for stacks, literally. We see a lot of control wards on both sides as well, because they know that it's going to be the next team fight that you were already looking at, Pololax. That can decide the entire game. For 7am, it's just like hoping that they're not completely out of position, maybe catching the people on the flanks first and then fighting from there, because a straight on 5v5 right now would be the worst case scenario. For White Dragons, it's just taking control and trying to force 7am into mistakes around the neutral objectives. Don't forget that the Baron is spawning in 20 seconds. They do have a lot of damage on the Xayah already. They can just try to lure 7am into a bad position with the vision control they just set up.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing right now, trying to settle some fog of war for 7am around the purple worm. So let's see how they do it. Everyone is packed around this objective. White Dragons is there. Kaucha has teleportation and Julbu is in trouble. If they manage to catch him, it could be terrible. And the damage comes out from Worst. They are going to try to finish the job on Kingpin. Kingpin is away, and the ultimate from Maokai will manage to save the life.
I mean, 7am, they might have disengaged, but they used a lot of important ultimates in Kingpin, in Julbu. Julbu didn't have to flash, that was a good one, but this Baron now on the table for the White Dragons might be hard for 7am to contest.
Yeah, they are starting it, and we hope that 7am is going to notice it, because it's falling quite fast, as we said. Is 7am going to press the trigger now? Kaucha is a bit isolated
Flicker
here.
Has to be
Dominus
careful.
Used, he flashes in, Flicker cleanses out, and
Kaucha
is done!
Flicker has amazing guns to extend this fight. The only thing they need is a re-engage. Kingpin had time to go back to base, so he's looking for a dredge line, but 7am is taking back priority.
Exactly, they got their first kill, they got their comfort back. Flicker didn't even die, he had to use the cleanse, but they get the mid lane turret as well. And this is good news, because 7am already used Kingpin's ultimate and flash. They already used Julbu's ultimate, but they still got White Dragons off the Baron Nashor. And look at that gold lead. At some point, it was almost a 4k gold deficit that 7am was looking against. And now they're closing that gap.
And they just took some standing gold with the tower in the mid lane, but there's still 2 shutdowns to be had with taking down Ivern or Xayah. We just saw that Flicker didn't get scared.
It's already matching.
Yeah, he's matching, but what if he cashes out that huge bounty? Because he wasn't scared there, even though there was a flank of Gausha, there was a collapse coming from White Dragons, and the mistakes from the early games, maybe the nerves of finally playing on the biggest stage he's ever played on, are now being washed away, and we're starting to see some of that team play that 7am normally has in teamfights come back. And I said that in the beginning of this game. 7am had the tendency in the Benelux to fall behind, but to come back after 20 minutes. So White Dragon still isn't done with this team.
Yeah, if they manage to do this once or twice again, then the game will be definitely even gold-wise. And in a few seconds, the third Drake is going to spawn on the Rift. And of course, White Dragons are trying to set up vision around the objective.
They're all backed. He does not have a second completed item, but he does CP in.
Look at Zergot, he already has half a flank angle, so
yeah,
Noma would have to TP. Oh, they didn't spot him. This is a big team fight.
Oh, and let's see Zergot. He comes in. Komska is already in a very, very difficult situation. Zergot trying to find a kill.
He's alive.
Noma is nice.
Okay, they get the first kill.
Flicker had the first kill, but the White Dragons are still barreling forward. Kingpin is actually surviving, and 7am on blinking health bars are making the difference. Look at the roll. He's still full HP. The Moonlight Vigil wasn't even used. It whiffed big time, but the roll can still go hunting. Zergot over the wall. Worst in the problem. If they can get the shutdown on Worst, it's huge. And they do it. Shutdown for a roll. He's gonna get the second kill, and it's a wash for White Dragons in the team fight, while 7am can look at the Dragon.
So they made it. Finally, 7am managing to turn this game around, getting a full ace, a Drake, and now maybe a Baron Nashor. No, they're going to.
I think they can be happy with what they got.
Yeah, no, that's already amazing. But you know, that's what we were talking about earlier. White Dragons has to, keep the pressure on the game, and we will see here again this team fight with Zergot fighting this flank, amazing flank.
So what's important for Zergot is he chooses the right chance to go in, because he is not tanky at all. He needs that reset, but he doesn't get it. He has to flash out, and barely Sky lives, so he has to disengage fully. But on the other side, Noma and Dash, there's not enough damage, and they're fighting both Flicker and they roll, and they do so much damage. Flicker even stays alive, gets the cash in like you talked about, Dino, and then there is no follow-up damage anymore from White Dragons. They have to disengage, and this is where 7am perfectly zones them, because Errol, he almost took no damage during that whole fight, meaning he can throw his body at those 2 players from White Dragons and he can clean them up.
Yeah, he gets a shutdown, like now he's so rich. He was already doing a great game just by farming.
He has a Fenerbahce flag.
he has been the silent carry a lot of the times on 7am. Definitely when he gets his pocket with Azir, they locked it in really early. Didn't even know the matchup yet. Now has 8 stacks on his Medjais. Zergot isn't done with his game yet. He's looking for Gaucha in a 1v1 that's unplayable for the Reddington by now.
Yeah, by now it's so hard for Gaucha to do anything in 1v1 versus Zergot, and it's a solo kill by the Dutch top laner, and now a new fight is coming in. Dash is in a very, very tricky situation. Worst trying to DPS, but the jungler is down. Now Sky is dying too. Double kill for Errol.
And this surely means Baron, right? There's no way that White Dragons can do anything about it. Still, Noma has the ultimate worst. Still hold on to his one, because he was targeted by Kingpin, but he managed to just walk out of the ultimate from the Nautilus, from the depth charge. But Noma, he has to be a hero for this team together with Worst. But the Baron is going down so quickly. I don't think that the both carries from White Dragons can do anything, because Zergle is coming to the front lines, and he secures the Baron for 7AM, who fought back valiantly in this game.
And we can't really underestimate how much this game is going to mean in the long run. I mean, it's the first game of EMEA Master Plains, but it's the two smallest regions fighting against each other in a very difficult group. So this win means a lot, because if you think that Foot Esports is going to be 6-0 first seed, which is like kind of what you expect until someone can really challenge them, then every game matters, but mostly the games against your direct competition. And White Dragons and 7AM, they come from regions, as we said, as we had the pre-game interview with One Ring Wraith as well, that always are in each other's way, and 7AM somehow bouncing back this game must be really scary for White Dragons.
Yeah, this is definitely a very important game in terms of motivation, in terms of, you know, the way you enter EMEA Masters, as you said. And yeah, Erol is definitely online.
And by now the team composition from Team 7M should be stronger than the one from White Dragons. But White Dragons, they still have a lot of hope. They still have the Ivan pick. If they can play the long fights and they kill Zergle before he gets a reset, that is huge. That's what they have to play on. But they still have to go through all the damage that both the Azir and Aphelos can put out.
Yeah, but we're hitting those 3 items mark on the most important champions. Erol with his Azir, Flicker with his Aphelios. Now it's going to be really hard for the White Dragons to do something, and you can see by the way they move on the map. Now they're in a totally defensive stance, trying to, you know, handle the pressure of this Baron Nashor.
And when Noma walked up, tries to see if he can get someone with the root, and he just gets pokes half HP by moving the Sand Soldiers forward and attacking one time. So 7M really in the driver's seat right now. Gacha can't do anything in the 1v1. He's 3 levels down.
Yeah.
He just gets poked out of his lane, and 7AM, it's like they knew this entire game that even though they went down like 0-8 or something, they were in complete control because they knew their comp was going to come online, and they knew they are really strong in team fights.
And we knew this from the regular split, but still, this is the EMEA Master playing stage. It's a different stage. But to see this kind of resilience when they go on into the base of the White Dragons, they even get a free inhibitor of this. The root does land, but who does miss?
They want to go further, maybe the fight is starting.
He might be in trouble, he's trying to kite back, but he never really gets connected by the rest of White Dragons. Gaucha flashes forward, but that's on the front line. Meanwhile, Zergold is bursting down Noma, and 7M is not even in trouble. More or less, they took one down, and they're looking to finish this game.
Yeah, they can really finish it. They still have the Baron buff on. They are going to get a second inhibitor now. Will they try to press on? Will they try to go further and finish this? Or are they going to play it safe? Now, they are really in control of this game, so they must not take any risks, but Erol seems to be wanting to
finish this game.
I mean, Zergo back to just TP back in if it's necessary. Yubu is disengaging with the rest of the team. So they take enough with 2 inhibitors and a tower, but Erol at a certain point, after they kill Gaucha, he walks up alone. The entirety of White Dragons needs to stay, and the rest of the team can take the top inhibitor. White Dragons does not know how to tackle these team fights.
Yeah, it's so hard. And even on the side lanes, it's unplayable because Gaucha, with all this experience deficit, then he cannot handle Zergot. He couldn't handle Erol either. So yeah, and this Crocodile is a bit useless right now.
He's a meat shield. He has to be the front line. That's the only thing he can do, and he has to be very careful with it because he can get bursted down. He's not that tanky, he's just pure health. On the other side, I'm really looking at Noma. He has not had that pop-off performance on the Nico that we might have expected after Dino alighted us with his Nico and creative play, but for now he's been very silent. He has not lived up to his name in the laning phase. He did not get those nice roams off to the bot side of the map. He just matched what the team wanted to do, but he hasn't had found that flank that really decides a team fight.
Yeah, and it seemed like the analysis White Dragons made after draft and playing into 7M, like, okay, if we keep Flicker out of the game, if we put all our effort in the bot side of the map, we are probably going to win this out. I mean, Worst went up 3-0-3 or something. He really hasn't done anything in these last fights because he just has that range disadvantage against the comp of 7AM. He needs to be defensive all the time on Zergot, who was completely untouched this entire game. Now we might see the first good engage.
Yeah, they go in, they try to find them damage, but Worst has an Aatrox on his heart. He's trying to find a way to survive. The fight is still happening right now. Double kill already for Flicker.
Oh, it's a triple kill.
He might actually go for the penta. Dash is so low as well once they got the connect to CC, and it's Flicker doing way too much damage. He's getting out there. Infernal Chains will pull him back. Flicker needs to extend the kill here. If he gets the quadra, he can look for the penta, but it's too late. He goes legendary nonetheless, and out of nowhere, 7am stood up in this game, took White Dragons to their base, and is going to take the first win in this group.
Well, that was what we could have expected, you know.